very good evening to you. Welcome to the FKF PL review show. My name is Robinson Okenya. Now, we've been away for 2 weeks, but we are back. Now, the past weekend, we did not have FKF Premier League matches taking place, but instead, we had the national football team Harambee Stars in action on Saturday against South Sudan, and earlier on Monday afternoon against Tanzania. So today our focus will be solely on the two games, and we are doing this because Harambee Stars was purely made up of local best players that we've spoken about on this show, players that we've highlighted on this show. And joining me to take a look at what transpired in these two fixtures for the national football team Harambee Stars is none other than Cedric Musumba, Rogers Eshtemi, and also joining us via Zoom is none other than Steve Ayo. Let me begin with Steve. Steve, welcome back to FKF PL review show. It's been a while since we had you here. The last time we had you on the show, you said the Zuke Richo was your favorite team that we have on the league. Commented that other pundits on the show disputed, but good to have you back. You enjoyed Harambee Stars in action over the weekend?
Yeah, definitely. The two matches, I think they've been good. At least we've seen the quality of the locally based players. We've seen they have the confidence, they can actually take on these other invited teams or international teams. And talking of Zuka Richo, one of the products there, Danson Chetambe, I think everyone is waxing really lyrical about him because of the assist that he provided in that game against South Sudan. In general, just the whole performance. But yeah, I think the two games have been really good, and yeah, looking forward to talking about the two games.
Also, we do have Cedric Musumba and Rogers Eshtemi. Let me begin with Rogers Eshtemi. Rogers, good to have you back on the FKF PL review show. You enjoyed the two matches for Kenya against Tanzania today, and of course on Saturday against South Sudan. 2 wins for Ghost Mlay in a period of 3 days.
Thanks, Robbie, for having me. Definitely, that was a good moral booster for the national team ahead of the upcoming qualifiers against Egypt and then Togo, though they were not that way convincing because looking at how these boys performed, it was not that way convincing as far as I'm concerned. But remember, it was also a match full of debutants. I think over 11 players make their debut in the two matches. So for the coach, I think there's something he was trying to see from the new players. But as for fans, I think they felt that was not the type of performance they expected from the national team. But I'm happy for the likes of Namasaka. The way my colleague Steven has said, I think he was one of the bright sparks in that match. And looking at today's game, the combination between Kapaito and Lawrence, that is something that most people will be looking forward to see, how these two players can combine maybe in the upcoming matches. That is if only they'll be given the chance to play for the national team in the competitive matches.
Also, we do have Cedric Musumba, so we want to kick off this evening's FKF PL review show with taking a look at Harambee Stars' performance against Tanzania. And we had Eric Kapaito and Abdallah Hassan on target as Harambee Stars got a 2-1 win against Tanzania at the Nyayo Stadium. Cedric, let me begin with you. I know I've not given you a chance to speak on the introduction, but I knew that we are getting into this, and as Rogers likes to say that you normally take his time. So let's begin with you. You enjoyed the 2-1 win against Tanzania.
Yeah, it was a game actually that gauged all the capability that we have in terms of Arsenal to deliver, given the expectation that all Kenyans are really urging to see against the opponents that are coming. But then again, somebody will argue out that were those opponents worthy to match the opponent in the offing? And by that I mean Egypt and Togo.
Yes.
Because given the magnitude that, the magnitude of which the team Harambee Star presented was not really actually anything near to what Kenya should be playing against the North African country. And by that I mean Kenya played Tanzania. And at the same time, Kenya played Algeria in Africa Cup of Nations, which again Tanzania also played Algeria in Africa Cup of Nations. If you see how Algeria actually made some riots into the Kenyans' perceived first 11, and Tanzania perceived first 11.
That was during Africa Cup of Nations.
Africa Cup of Nations.
Yes.
And I'm trying to bring this analogy equating Algeria to Egypt, because Algeria and Egypt are of the similar force. And Kenya, moving forward, it will be facing Egypt at some instance. That's the road towards Africa Cup of Nations. Now, I expected maybe if Kenya wanted actually to convince us that they were ready maybe to face Egypt,
yes,
they would have thrashed convincingly Tanzanian team. And maybe playing against South Sudan, which is perceived like a baby into this particular arena in terms of competition, Kenya would have maybe gone past them like 3 times. But then again, it was like a balanced match. If you go by how they played, it was like a 50-50 match. Even South Sudan had some equal chances to actually score against Kenya. Similarly to Tanzania. Tanzania had some equal open chances actually to kill the game,
yes,
which they did not utilize. To me, it is a win, and everyone will love to see the win.
Yes.
But it was not a win actually to convince me that this team is ready to face the likes of Egypt and Togo.
Yes.
And if we go by the mentality that now we have won against Tanzania, and maybe we convince ourselves that given the lads that, okay, it's good if our team is preparing for maybe 3-4 years to come.
Yes.
Because they are young lads, they have given that stage actually to remove stage frighten, and maybe that acclimatization and capability of facing big stage would have given them an edge, maybe come 2-3 years down the line to start. And also another thing that I picked from it is that at least for once we have seen our striking prowess having some kind of competition. And by that I mean the likes of Kapaito and Rupia. They are bringing in what we have been lacking for all along. We have been always producing one striker at a season. And if that striker's ages is when we start looking for another. But this time round, at least I can see Kapaito has been in, and actually he scored. We also see Rupia being brought in, and he scored. And that kind of competition, actually, I think, will bring in the competition that has been lacking up front.
Steve, let me come to you. What do these 2 wins mean for Harambee Stars and Coach Ghost Mle in general?
Oh, first, I want to totally disagree with Cedric in saying that the Kenya national team should have thrashed Tanzania. Remember, this is a team that's coming from the Chan Championship, where they won I think the first match ever in the competition. And Kenya have never actually even qualified for that. And also given the fact that they were missing some 2 influential players in John Boko and Aisha Manula.
Yes, that is where I wanted to come to. Remember, this Tanzanian side did not have 7 influential players. 7 influential players who will be flying in, I think, on either Wednesday or Thursday morning. So, do you want to say that Kenya did not deserve this win against Tanzania?
They did deserve. I don't just feel like Tanzania were really, they came in to be laid flat, you know. They just concede goals at will because they are missing some 7 key influential players. Because remember also the magnitude of this game. It's not just your normal game, it's a derby. And in derbies, no matter whether you're playing school kids or you're playing grown-up men, they always want to bring in their A game. So in thinking that Tanzania, because they lost, they didn't have like 7 key players, they were going to be flattened out. I think that's not the right thinking. But yeah, having said that, I don't think even the coach Ghost Mle will be so much concerned about the fact that we didn't score much, because a 2-1 win, obviously you always want to keep a clean sheet, especially at your fortress if you're playing at home. But a 2-1 win against your East African rivals, I don't think that's a bad result. Also, given the conditions of the game, really, you know, these are players who've not played together for quite some time. They're locally based. They've all come from all these clubs. The preparations have not been at best. So I'm not glorifying the result, but I'm saying, given the circumstances, it was a good result, and also coming at the back of that win against South Sudan. So if I'm a player who's made his debut, I'll be looking into that game and asking myself if there's anything else that I can improve as far as my game is concerned. What other applications can I bring into the game in terms of my match fitness, in terms of my understanding of the tactics, in terms of my understanding of the players around me. So yeah, I think it's a game that we are supposed to learn from. The players are supposed to learn from. It's not a game that they were supposed to go out there and show that we are the best around, because we are not. We are far from it.
Yes, Shlemi, before we listen to what that is the Tanzanian coach Paulsen had to say, do you feel like had Tanzania had the 7 players that were missing, these are the players that plied trade for, others plied trade for Simba, Tanzania could have actually matched what Kenya was offering?
I think, Robbie, result-wise, I think Harambee Stars won the game, but performance-wise, I think Paulsen is a happy man because his boys were very comfortable on the ball and they made the Harambee Stars look so ordinary. Just look at the midfield, how it was. The likes of Faisal, the likes of Hamid Mao, who plays in Egypt, they were so good in that midfield, whereby it was so difficult for the likes of Muguna, Mutinda, to show us what they always show us in the local Premier League. So for me, I think Paulsen won the match through the performance that his boys delivered at Nyayo Stadium.
So let's listen into what the Tanzanian coach, that is Paulsen, had to say after Taifa Stars lost to Kenya's Harambee Stars 2-1 at the Nyayo Stadium.
First of all, thanks to Harambee Stars for the game. They gave us a good fight. And for us, it was special for me as the coach. It was a very interesting game because it gave us a clear picture in which area we have to work on. And I think it was very clear the way we started the game was very slow, special for the first 25 minutes until the water break. We were very passive. I wanted us to be more active. And secondly, headline will be the way we defend. We are making too many individual mistakes, and so we have some work to do to strengthen our defense back line and so, because we're giving too many chances away, and we can't complain that Kenya win today, because that was well deserved. So, but it's good. It's a part of our preparation, and it's really good to see who can cope with this level and who cannot cope with this level, because we are still. Some of these players will have to join the team for the AFCON, but a number of them will not be there because they are coming players from outside, and Simba.
Paulsen speaking after Taifa Stars lost to Kenya at the Nyayo Stadium in their first friendly of the 2 friendlies that are supposed to be played this week. Now, Kenya's coach, that is Jacob Ghostplay, was pleased with his side's 2-1 win, and he also said that this will give them momentum heading into their tie on Thursday.
Kupongeza Tanzania kwa sababu ukiangalia mpira ambao wameucheza kwanza kipindi cha kwanza walikuwa na kasi sana, na unaona kwamba wanafanya a lot of interchange. Kwa hivyo kidogo imetu disorient kidogo, na ukapata kwamba mtu kama Mtinda tulikuwa tumepewa kwamba yuko sawa, lakini ukimwangalia kuna mahali imemzidi. Kwa hivyo tunaona kwamba jeraha lake bado halijapona, na ukiangalia tumeweza kuja na mbinu mpya kipindi cha pili, kwa sababu ukiangalia rotation ya Tanzania ilikuwa kidogo imetuzidi kipindi cha kwanza. Kwa hivyo tumeweza kudhibiti mechi katika kipindi cha pili, kwa sababu tukawanyima mwanya ambao walikuwa wanataka kutumia sana katika kipindi cha kwanza. Kwa hivyo imekuwa ni mechi nzuri na wametupatia mazoezi ya kufana. Tegemea, unajua kucheza mechi 3 kwa siku kama 6 si rahisi, na ukiangalia kikosi ambacho tuko nacho pia si kikubwa sana. Kwa hivyo itategemea, tutakuwa tukiangazia nani labda amecheza dakika nyingi. Kwa hivyo tutafanya mabadiliko, na ningependa kupatia kila mchezaji fursa. Tuko wachezaji 27 kwenye kambi, kwa hivyo kila atapewa fursa, tuone mambo yatakuwa vipi. Saruni amefanya kazi ambayo amepewa ifanye, amefanya vizuri. Kwa hivyo ukimwangazia unaona kwamba tunaweza labda tena mtumia katika mechi nyingine.
Harambee Stars head coach Jacob Ghostplay speaking after Kenya got a 2-1 win against Tanzania. Cedric, let me bring you into this. 2-1 was the final score, and Coach Ghostplay says that heading into the 3rd game, that is against Tanzania on Thursday, there may be changes that he may make, of course, after assessing his squad. What do you make of how Kenya played today, and what Coach Ghostplay has had to say about that win?
You know, any coach across the world will be happy if he happens to deploy a squad that comes out of a particular match in 90 minutes victorious.
Yes.
And I think Ghostplay is talking to the background that his team actually came out of that battle as the winner.
Yes.
And he will have a lot actually to talk about, and even introduce the aspect of him, what I'm hearing from him, the rotational aspect. But now the key point here is, these are the players who have not been together, as he puts it, for a long period of time. If you play them like today,
Yes.
and then tomorrow you play a different squad. But remember, in a few days, you will be facing a very huge tussle actually to climb, which is a tall order if going by the team that they will be facing, and that is Egypt. How will you actually have had a squad that is so formidable, ready to face this particular monster that is ahead of you, if at all you keep on rotating? I thought that maybe he will have some consistency in this his style of really playing this player in a way that there are some players whom he wants to remain into the system in a consistent manner, so that even if we have a player who will join in terms of international player, who will be happy to will join this player who have already been jailed up.
Yes.
But if you keep on rotating them, according to me, even as much confusing this part will be, by the time you are bringing in these other players, it will be as if again you are starting to reassemble the squad. And also, listening to Kim Paulsen
Yes.
and Ghost Mle,
Yes.
they are like they were watching this match from a different platform. Because Kim tells us that his lads, they started the match very slow and they would make a lot of mistakes, which was actually vividly seen. They would make a lot of mistakes, which actually contributed to them conceding goals.
Yes.
But here Ghost comes and tells us they were very fast. Now, I don't understand the two coach telling us, one telling us the other team was slow, and the other one coming and saying that the same team was very fast. Where were they really watching this match from into the that particular battle?
Now, Steve Ayo, is the Kibwage-Omurwa centre-back pairing the best we can produce when you talk about the local league?
Well, on account of the two games, the two players have played together. I don't think you can really fault them. They put in the hard yards really. I think the advantage they bring in is one is left-footed, the other one is right-footed. So that's a good mix for a centre-back position.
But
Also,
today they were caught napping actually in the equalizer for Tanzania.
Yeah, it does happen. It does happen, especially if this is the first time you are playing together. You know, there are those laps of concentration that comes in. So I guess those are things that the coach and the technical team had a look at, and they'll obviously raise them when they're doing their team talk with the whole defense. But I mean, on the account of the two games the two players have played, I can't fault them much. But yeah, like you said, I think there are those nitty-gritty aspects of their game that still need a lot of ironing to do.
Yes, let's move on. Now, there are players that, of course, did not play on Saturday. They played today. They started in today's match. And Shtemi, I want to bring you into this. What did you make of Kapaito? Remember, he's the top scorer in the league. And today, he started in the match against Tanzania, and he was on the score sheet.
Actually, I'm so happy for him because he's finally scored his first national team goal, just like Rupia. I think those two guys have shown they are not the leading scorers in the KPL, maybe by default. I think they deserve because their instinct showed us actually against Tanzania today. Kapaito was all over that game. You saw the combination he had with Lawrence Juma in most occasions, troubled the Tanzania defense. He nearly gave Lawrence Juma an assist, but unfortunately Lawrence Juma was denied by the post. And then Lawrence Juma had to give him the chance, and that was it. He broke the deadlock. So I'm happy for how Kapaito actually played against Tanzania. Because remember, these Tanzanian teams, they were not a pushover, because it is a team that has been at CHAN, and having played at the club at the continental level final for the local based players tells you that this team has what it takes to play against maybe other strong teams in the continent. But let's wait and see what is going to happen on Thursday, because now it's going to be another very strong Tanzanian team, bearing in mind that 7 of their key players for the Simba CS will be jetting into the country maybe on Wednesday evening or Thursday morning, because that will be the real test for Harambee Stars. Because at the moment, we can't start celebrating. But looking at the matches that are coming ahead of us, it is not going to be easy for Ghost Mule and his boys, because at the same time, we don't know how many players Ghost Mule is going to retain in this current squad to play against Egypt and Togo.
Cedric, let me bring you, let's take a look at one player that was very influential in today's game, and this is Lawrence Juma. I remember we watched this game together, and you said that in Kenya, in the Football Kenya Federation Premier League at the moment, you feel like Lawrence Juma is the best midfielder.
You see, it's all about how you want to place this particular player. We have seen Lawrence Juma at some point at club level being played as a box-to-box midfielder. And at times, when he deployed up front, he has actually been going up front and giving us goals. And I thought that maybe this consistency maybe was just at a club level. But when given duty at the Harambee Star, and I think he has now come of age, and he's maturing to a level that he can really ascertain his position, concentrate, and give us results when we need to. You could realize there's a time that he was given a pass, which by...
he was almost scoring.
Unfortunately, it hit the crossbar, the post, sorry. And that's a kind of a player on the front of goal who knows where to place the ball. And even you see how the technique, how he picked that particular ball. He was not just actually to go for a killer shot, but he was trying to pick these angles that we normally see them maybe happening in European leagues. It's a kind of a midfielder currently, if really well managed and given the space that he required, he can start giving us the value that we have been looking for. I remember at some point when we were watching this particular, and I told you vividly that this is a player, when he's on ball, he's not in a hurry, he knows how to pick his player, and if he's not in a position of shooting, he as well as distribute the ball. And that's the player and the minds that I normally look into a player. A player who is in a position to play with others as a team, not necessarily simply because you have been deployed as offensive midfielder each and every time. You are so greedy to an essence that you think of hitting the ball. Not every angle will give you goals. You need also to know that this pitch is not designed for only one person. It's a pitch of 22 players, whereby you are facing the open at some points, and at some level, you need to work with the other players who forms up as your teammates. And this is the Lawrence Juma we're talking about. Lawrence Juma that has really grown from Nzoia, is now traded for Gor Mahia at some points. He's now trading for Sofapaka. And he has given the same value we are seeing him producing at the national level at Sofapaka. That continuity is what we are looking for. And if you mention of the continuity, I will still mention of the Eric Kapaito, the likes of Elvis Rupia. You bring that continuity, you continue scoring, it gives you the confidence that will keep you going in this particular magnitude.
Robbie, actually, let me add on what Cedric has said. It is, I think it is because of Lawrence Juma versatility that is making him too invaluable for the national team. Because remember, he's not an attacking player. Mostly he likes being deployed as defensive. But right now, he has always been deployed in a very attacking role.
Even for the national team.
Exactly. And that has actually bore fruit. Look like in today's match, it is because of his 2 assists that Harambee Stars managed to score the goals. And he could cap it off maybe by scoring a goal so that we can continue talking about Lawrence Juma until the Egypt game. Maybe he'll do that on Thursday in the return leg against the Taifa Stars.
8 goals to his name so far in the Football Kenya Federation Premier League. He's among the top scorers. Remember, Eric Kapaito has 14 goals, Elvis Rupia has 11, and Henry Juma has 8, together with Lawrence Juma, who has 8. Now, gentlemen, I want us to briefly take a look at the men that made their debut over the weekend. And briefly, I want your views on this, and I want to begin with you, Steve Ayo. I want us to talk about the men that made the debut, and I want us to begin with John Masharia, the Gor Mahia midfielder, made his debut. What do you have to say about his debut?
I think it was okay, above average. I would give him a 6 out of 10. You know, obviously you play your first game, then from there you can build onto it. Obviously, it gives you that confidence. It makes you feel like you belong. So that was really important for him to get those minutes under his belt. Yeah, we know what he brings into a team. Basically, he has that speed, he has that trickery with him. He can dribble at speed, which is normally such a tricky mix of skills to have. Basically, you can dribble and you can also do it at speed. Most players can do one of either. But yeah, I think for him the future really looks bright. But yeah, he just needs to put his feet on the ground and just keep working his socks off, and he'll get more debuts as time progresses.
The other player that made his debut on Saturday was none other than Nahashuna Alembe. Eshtemi, he's proved himself at KCB, and now he's gotten his call to the national team. What do you make of his debut on Saturday against South Sudan?
he was so stable and confident of the ball, and that is why maybe one of the reasons as to why Harambee Stars didn't consider against South Sudan. Remember, South Sudan has some very clinical players, the likes of Tito Okello, the Gor Mahia striker. So he managed to keep them in the pocket, and that is applies for a young lad who is making his debut for the national team. Remember, nobody knew this national Lembi a few years back, coming from Kakamega High School and now at KCB, and a few years or few months later, he's playing for the national team. That's really encouraging for him. He needs to put in more effort, and who knows, maybe in the next few years or few months to come, he'll stabilize himself in the national team. He'll give the likes of Joshua Onyango, Brian Mandela, Kibwage, and Omurwa a run for the money for that starting position in the central defense. Yes,
Cedric, the other player that made his debut for the national football team, Harambee Stars, is none other than Bandari midfielder, that is Namasaka Chitambe. Remember, he is among the players that have produced most assists in the league so far. He has 7 to his name. What did you make of his debut?
That's a kind of a player whom I did not have any doubts whatsoever about his value. And this has actually been articulated, the fact that he has been on form at Bandari. He's actually the engine behind the Bandari up to where they are, to the, basically based on the resurgence after they had hired the services of Kasambungo. And you could see how he has been supplying, the same style has supplying balls to William Wadri, is the same style that has brought to Harambee Stars by the fact that he supplied the similar style to Elvis Rupia, which ended up giving Harambee Stars a win. It's a kind of a player, knowing that he's now playing in a pool. Remember, there's a point that I mentioned to you that Kenya, if there is a department that is packed with talents, and if you are not very careful, you can be as well. You can be as well as playing in it, but you don't go far. It is in the midfield.
Yes.
The midfield in Kenya has sold up to the European nations, into the very good and refined clubs. Now, it's a point that he should be stamping and earmarking his statement to the fact that he has been given that value to carry the tag of 52 million citizens to another high stake. And I like to the charisma that when he was given that particular leverage, he equally earmarked the space by first giving the assist that really resulted to actually Danson Namasaka. If you go by whatever he was narrating to us as his history, coming from just, I may call it a village simply because it's nowhere to be known in Busia. And then he has traded also to Azul, which is equally a village. And now he's trading to one of our best cities in the country, that's in Bandari. He's now trading for a national team. It's a path that has a very sharp upward rise. And going by how he's really trading, he will go far.
So, gentlemen, as we wind up briefly, let me begin with you, Steve. What should we expect when Kenya takes on Tanzania in their second friendly match on Thursday?
I think a performance in a result. We did well, really, getting that result, getting that 2-1 win today. But the coach was not quite impressed by the performance of the team. So that's one thing that he'll be looking to address, basically just to ensure that you get the, and they even points anyway, there are 3 points as much as they don't take you anywhere, but yeah, you get the victory, but as well it comes with a good performance from the boys. So I think that's really one thing that he'll be focusing on, also given the fact that Tanzania will be bringing the big guns out. So can they hold on to the result that they got today? Can they replicate that and also do that with a better performance? I think that's one thing that the coach will be looking into.
Ashtemi, what should we expect when Kenya takes on Tanzania, having in mind that the Tanzania bringing in other players, local-based players, before they travel to take on Equatorial Guinea in the Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers, where in their group they are placed third with 4 points? Actually,
save for them bringing those key players on Thursday, I think they'll be coming to this match knowing that they have an easy, or rather, maybe, an easy passage maybe to AFCON qualifiers, because they'll have to play against Libya in their final match, and then they'll play Equatorial Guinea, who are second in that group. So for Tanzania, they'll not come with a lot of pressure, because for them it is going to be, actually the fate is in their own hands, just like the Kenyans. Though for Kenya, we are in at least more difficult situation compared to Tanzania, because for Kenya, we have to beat the Egyptians before traveling to Togo and then hopefully get a result. And at the same time, you'll be praying that other teams, maybe results can go on our favor. So for the Kenyans, I think it's another chance for them to prove that actually today's victory was not a fluke. Let them prove to the country and all those who will be following the game that indeed Kenya is rising slowly by slowly to become the giant that they were in the region.
Cedric, briefly, would the results matter heading into the tie against Egypt here in Nairobi? Briefly.
Suddenly, among those people who really believe that the both team did not unleash their best, and I think by the fact that Tanzania will be dropping in whom they are actually being referred by my fellow panelists as their best, Kenya is equally also have their best who did not actually trade if it comes to this particular. And if all the best really meet is when we could have gauged who is the best. But going by how the teams they are facing, I think Kenya is facing the most tough, one of the best African teams in this continent has ever produced. They should not actually think that going past Tanzania and Southern Sudan can give them an edge past Egypt. Remember, if Egypt is allowed actually to deploy the kind of player that we know, that they trade this particular planet, they cannot be anywhere close to what Kenya was trading with in terms of Tanzania and Southern Sudan. So they need to be very careful. They need to be so much aware that the tussle ahead of them is much bigger than the Tanzania they are playing.
Thanks a lot, gentlemen. That is Cedric Musumba, Roger Sistemi, and joining us on Zoom, that was Steve Ayo giving us insights to Harambee Stars' 2 friendly matches that Kenya has won against South Sudan and Tanzania, respectively. Remember, on Thursday, Kenya takes on Tanzania again in a friendly match that will be played at the Kasarani Stadium at 7 p.m. before taking on Egypt and Togo in Africa Cup of Nations qualifiers. Thanks a lot, gentlemen. We'll be meeting again next week on Monday from 10:30 to 11:30, and now it will be all about Football Kenya Federation Premier League. We'll be taking stock of round 16 of the league. My name is Robinson Okenye. Have a good night.